What an honor it is to stand before you this morning. Not only as a newly promoted assistant fire chief, but also as part of our fire department and city family. I must also applaud our honor guard and our pipes and drums for once again gracing us with an outstanding performance. Congratulations to Randy and to Evelyn, to Ellen and to Tom. Thank you for the sacrifices you've made throughout your career. Now it's time to decompress, to stay healthy, and to enjoy a long, prosperous, well-deserved retirement. Congratulations. It's nice to see so many friendly faces here this morning, many of which have helped shape my life, both personally and professionally. My life has been blessed by people like you, who believe in me and care about me. And I want you to know that the feelings are mutual. And before I say a few words, I wanted to recognize some of those people that are here with us today. Yes, Greg Malfitano is among us. He's the vice president of Lynn University, and he has something in common with our fire chief, and that's tenure. He's been with Lynn about 45 years, serving 30 years as their vice president, but as a leader in this community, he inspired me to go back to Lynn University and to get my master's degree, and for that I thank you. George Petroselli from the Boca Raton Resort. If you haven't attended one of our holiday parties at the Boca Resort, you should, because George knows how to take care of the public servants in this community. So we thank you for that, and we thank you for being here. And a leader in his own right, Ryan Leeds is here with us today, who is a big supporter of public safety on the police side and on the fire side. And so we thank you for being here as well. I want to tell you, mention somebody, a couple people. Number one, retired company officer David Lambert is here today. He's the uncle of Mike Young, one of our drivers. And when I was 23 years old, he asked me to have lunch with him one day, and he asked me where my life was going at that time, and how about considering a career in the fire service. In high school, I was part of HOSA, Health Occupation Safety of America, so I was really into the paramedic side and taking care of people, but I didn't really realize at the time that fire-based EMS was something that I could consider. And David, for pointing me in the right direction, I thank you for that, and I'll never forget it. My initial crew when I came to work at Boca Raton Fire Rescue was Bobby Dias, Mike Loeb, Jack Culligan, and recently deceased Allison Howe, 57 years old. And I thank them for giving me the start when I came here and leading the way. There's also some other members that when I was jotting down my remarks that I wanted to mention, and they consider them mentors of mine. One of them was Jack Withrow, because he hired me. He had enough faith in me. He actually told me one day that he knew that I would be a good firefighter, and I'll never forget that, and I appreciate it. Bernie Tilson, who's no longer with us. If I could emulate somebody, Bernie Tilson would be the guy. After he retired, he moved out of town, but when he came back in town, if you could just spend 10 minutes with Bernie Tilson, it would be enough to inflate you with pride for another year till he came back. So I always made sure that I got 10 minutes with Bernie Tilson. Dick Muehlberg is someone else that comes to mind. I remember running the Muscular Dystrophy Association's boot drive and seeing Dick Muehlberg as a battalion chief on the roadway in over 100-degree heat with a towel wrapped around his neck, refusing to come off the street because he was going to collect money for the kids that had disabilities. It hit my heart. And so I wanted to remember those fine men, and also Sam Burke, who was our first union president who started our local. People that we should always remember. And recently we lost a member of our department, Tim Shea. So for all of those, we will always honor their service. We always do. That's what's great about the fire service. And thank you for all the retirees that are here today, for paving the way for our success and helping to make give our organization such high standards. I thank you for that. There's also many people here today outside of the fire service who helped shape my personal life, and I owe them a debt of gratitude. I have a special bond with our city clerk, Susan Saxon, is here today, and I appreciate her being here. My friends are here from the Boating and Beach Bash for People with Disabilities, Jay and Lowell Van Vechten and Lori Walsh, and possibly some others. I hope I don't leave anybody out. If you don't know the Boating and Beach Bash for People with Disabilities, once a year they put on an event where thousands of disabled people show up and they lift their spirits, literally, to make them feel good for a day, taking them out on a boat, taking them in the ocean, and just showing them how much their life really matters. And so I thank you all for doing that, living a life for others. Mary Wilson couldn't be here today, but she is in my thoughts as well. My mother-in-law is here as well, Charlotte, and my father-in-law, Peter, who proudly served the United States Marine Corps. My brother Paul and his wife, Evelyn. My nephews, John and John. My Aunt Rosangela is here with her family, and of course, her grandkids are here as well. And I wanted to mention them, Donato and Gaetano, a couple little guys over there. For all of us, this is just routine. We see a lot of these things, but for young kids like this is going to leave an impression on them that we won't forget for a long time. And to Mama Luca. The original. For those of you who don't know, I lost my dad when I was 21 years old. My mom was a 40-year-old widow at the time, and she raised 4 children, and she did a great job with the tools that she had. Someone who came over from Sicily, who had no education at all. So I thank you for that. To my kids, Dominic, Francesca, Angelia, and of course, my wife. You've supported me throughout my career in the fire service and beyond. You are all my ambassador of Kwan. I want to tell you a little bit about a childhood friend, because we all face challenges in life. I've certainly faced my share of challenges. And a friend of mine is here today named Butch Klinger. Butch was born with cerebral palsy. I met Butch when I was about 15 years old. Believe it or not, this body played racquetball at one time. And I was pretty good at it. And after I met Butch, he was running around the racquetball court, left-handed, falling down and getting up, falling down and getting up, bruised and battled. So I asked him one day, hey, how about entering a doubles tournament, an in-house tournament in the racquetball club? And the place was packed. We made it all the way to the final match. He gave it everything he had. As a matter of fact, I was diving and he was diving on top of me. We won first place, and I'll never forget that. So, okay, let's get started.
Oh.
I want to thank the city for their graciousness towards me, to the mayor and the city council for always supporting our world-class organization and public safety within our community. Without question, coming to work for this city was the best professional decision of my life. And I know many in this room would agree, because they feel the same way. Chief Wood, It is an honor to be part of your executive staff and to work beside so many talented and dedicated people in fire administration. And this includes our support staff in our building and beyond our building that do such a wonderful job. In the words of Chief Lasky, we take credit for everything that they do. They're really the reason behind the success that we have. To Local 1560's leadership, both current and past, you should be proud of your accomplishments. I know I am. So to all the leaders here today, know that your commitment to the men and women serving our community ultimately leads to the highest level of fire and emergency medical services. And for that, we thank you. To the men and women serving our organization, my brothers and sisters, I commit to you that I will always look through the lens of a firefighter when making decisions that impact your life. For you are on the front lines every day making a difference in the lives of those within our community, and I wish only to lift you up in your duties. My gratitude also goes out to my brothers and sisters in blue, our shield of protection that's too often taken for granted. I not only thank you all here today, but your presence makes me reflect upon the sacrifices you make as public servants for the betterment of others. It took me some years to realize that the true impacts of our chosen profession. So I have a symbol here. Now recently, this is not a plug by the way, Chief, but recently I was able to deliver a leadership training to firefighters, because that's what's in my heart, firefighters. And in that leadership training, it's focused on introspection. In other words, it's not about everybody else. It's about yourself and how you can become a better person. And I actually learned from the program about how I can become a better person every day. But part of the program talks about sacrifices and the sacrifices that we make. So the sponge is a symbol of a first responder's life. And this is a bucket. And what we talk about in the program is that the fire department is such a tight-knit family that when you take the things that they experienced prior to becoming a firefighter, the losses and the grieving that they do in their personal life, and then you couple that with the hardships faced by their fire department family, the sponge starts to take on all of that. And then you run calls on a regular basis, and our firefighters and police officers and nurses and people that see great loss in their career, that stuff saturates your sponge. And eventually, and we don't know it, your sponge gets saturated. That's what happened to me. And that's what I don't want to happen to you. Instead, what we need to do as first responders is we need to wring out the sponge. And we need to balance the commitment that we've made in our chosen profession with the sacrifices that come with doing this job. These sacrifices not only are bared by you, but they're sacrifices that your family takes on as well. So I wanted to share that with you. And finally, I must let you know that my goal as Assistant Chief is to help provide leadership in our organization. In John Maxwell's book, Everyone Communicates, Few Connect, John mentions how a leader that makes a true connection inspires people to do the same. He goes on to say how great leaders care about people. They view subordinates optimistically. They seek advice from those under them. They are trustworthy. They are able to make an emotional connection, and they share their insight with others. This sounds like a recipe for success, and it's one that I will do my best to emulate every day. After all, This is our fire department family, and together we will meet and exceed the high expectations that are placed on such a fine agency. Thank you all for being here this morning.